another beautiful fish from a beautiful venue, Preston Lake. This place is absolutely fantastic. It's ran with fish. Loads of F1s, loads of big carp. We've had some massive carp today, but now we're inundated, and I don't mind, by the way. We're inundated by these F1s. Let's hold this fella up for you, because he's a fat little chapper. Probably about £3, and one of them every chuck in a match here is going to see you somewhere near the winner's podium. Right, I want to talk to you about, I'm going to stop that because we'll talk about that in a second. I want to talk to you about my Method Hybrid Banjo Feeder cold water essentials. So, firstly, we just touched on it there, bite times. You've got to be taking a stopwatch with you. It lets you keep track of all of your fishing. Obviously, we're setting a trap, we're casting out for what could be a long period of time. We're sitting there, crossing our arms, having a drink, waiting for the tip to go round. We need to make sure we're not wasting huge parts of our day. And by having a stopwatch, cast out, start the stopwatch, it just gives us a read on when our bite times are. So, today, prime example, 4, 5, 6 minutes, something like that, has been an amazing bite time. Now I know that it's pointless me reeling in at 3 minutes. It's also pointless me reeling in or leaving it out there for 10 or 12 minutes, because the bite time has already gone and I'm missing that crucial period. But once it gets to 3 minutes, my eyes are on my rod tip waiting for a bite. And today I'm reeling in probably after about 7 minutes, because I know that bite time's gone. It increases your time in the water, makes you fish far more effectively. You don't lose track of the day. So stopwatch is the first thing. Second thing, a lovely bright hook bait. I think yellow is a fantastic colour hook bait on nearly every method feeder scenario that you go to. If you were to carry one bait, yellow would be it for me. Now, these aren't a big bait. These are a 5mm wowser. You can still catch some really big fish with a small hook bait. I think 5mm is perfect when you're visiting a venue like this, where you're catching anything from a skimmer or an F1 like we've just had, up to double figure carp like we've had also on the same bait. I see so many people getting confused with hook baits. They've got tubs and tubs of different colours and different shapes and sizes. If you choose one size, get some confidence in it, 5mm yellow wowser. I've used these for 3 years now, ever since they come out. It's my go-to bait. Very, very rarely lets me down. So pick a nice bright semi-buoyant hook bait. Now, to go with that hook bait, it is pointless using a little hook. That's a size 10. So nice big size 10 hook, coupled with that hook bait, you make sure that plenty of that hook has got a chance of going in the fish's mouth. The hook bait's pretty light anyway, it's counteracting the weight of the hook. There's so much going on down there that I just don't think the fish is seeing the hook. It's about the weight of the hook. And because that hook bait is semi-buoyant, when a fish sucks up that bait, the hook's going into the fish's mouth. And because it's a big hook, chances are it's grabbing some of that fish and we've got a bite. Remember, we're relying on the fish pricking itself with this rig. It's hooking itself against the feeder. So we're not striking at bites as you probably would do on a long hook length or when you're fishing traditional style feeder work. We've got to rely on the fish pricking itself against that nice big hook. The next thing, loading your feeder correctly. You'll notice there, I've got my pellets still in the feeder. I love that, you know. It means that I've got things right, because that, the way I'm going to show you how I load my feeder, is really important. So, I want to start off with a fresh amount of bait every time. So, I'm going to scrape those pellets out. I'm going to change my hook bait. I know a lot of people don't do that, but I like to tick every single box when I'm going through this process. Remember, in the winter months, we might be leaving this out for 20 or 30 minutes at a time. So I want to make sure that everything is spot on. So I'm going to put on a new hook bait and I'm going to load my feeder for you. First layer goes in and it's going to be very low, and I'm going to put it in almost as hard as I can. Like I say, don't really want that coming out. I want to reel back and that is still in the feeder, even if I've got a big fish on. I'm going to lay my hook bait in the middle, and then on the top, I'm going to be a little bit more gentle with this. We're putting on quite a few pellets, and I want to make sure that I can't see my hook bait. I want to make sure that my hook bait is in the middle there, and everything's encased. If I was to put my hook bait too near the top of that ball, chances are the hook bait's going to fall off the side a lot easier, away from my pellets. I don't want that. I want it to be in those pellets all the time. So by putting my hook bait really deep in the ball of bait, I'm making sure that I'm fishing effectively. If a fish comes along now, I think you get 2 windows for a bite. One, probably for the first 30 seconds, your ball's intact, but your micros are starting to soften. If a fish wants those micros, he's going to come in, one big suck. Because your bait's really light, it's going to go in the fish's mouth. It doesn't matter what bait you're using at that point. The fish is after the micros. You're going to catch him. Second time you're getting a bite is when your micros are slightly dispersed. Maybe a few smaller fish have kicked those micros around, and you've got a nice bright hook bait to act as a target bait. I'm going to chuck this out. Hopefully it's going to go round again. I'm going to set the stopwatch. I know I'm fishing effectively at all times now, and I've got super confidence in what I'm doing. Well, I told you at work, we just literally, that was last chuck of the day, just finishing up. Tip's gone round. We've got another fish, and what we've got, 5 minutes again, 5.5 minutes on the stopwatch. So it always amazes me that you get your bite times at certain times. Obviously, whether the splash of the feeder puts the fish off and they just back off for that set period of time, then they all start gathering again. I'm not so sure, but when you're catching a few fish, there's always a pattern. And you know what, the good anglers that I fish with, they always see that pattern just that little bit faster. Feels like a carp rather than those F1s we were catching. Obviously take my time. We're on a really nice big hook, size 10. We've got an elasticated feeder, so you should be able to be reasonably positive when you're playing the fish. A couple of big lunges. Now this is the time, if you get it right, this is the time that you can sometimes hook these fish first time. Keep the rod nice and low, get the landing net out. Up we go. Oh, he's a beauty. Look at that. So you can see there, no, he's a beautiful fish, hardly fits in the net. No dramas when you're playing the fish. Just keep the rod low as long as you can. Then that last split second when you lift the rod up, that's when he's going to pop up. Look at this fish. God, he's double figures, isn't there? Right, see what I mean about cramming that bait in? Have a look at that. Bait still in the feeder. Means that I'm always fishing, because okay, my presentation might have been knocked around by a few little fish, but I know that I've got a hook bait. My yellow wowzer, look, I've got a hook bait, and even if it lands that far away after it's been knocked around, it's still near some bait, still near some micros. So hopefully the fish comes in to have a snuffle around of those micros and sees my yellow wowzer in the process. Let's see if we can hold him up. He's a big fish. Look at that. God, look at the state of that. A cracking fish. And that really is the end of the video. Thank you very much.